I'm going to be doing a series of branding videos for ALIF Partners, just connecting with and talking to our past clients in terms of work we've done to them, establishing new communication strategies, relaunching their brand or launching a brand for the first time. The idea here is to kind of share some insights into our approach of developing a new brand or relaunching an existing brand. And whether that initiative is just to refresh the brand or entirely pivot the company to a new approach in terms of marketing their goods and services. So we've done this many, many times over the last 20 years or so. So I want to just touch base with some of our clients and give you some insight into the process. The first client we're going to talk to is Zoe Nare, who is a local travel agent. And obviously there's some very strict limitations she has currently, and so she's really looking to refresh her brand, and once travel restrictions ease off, so that she can enter the market again with a brand new brand, a new positioning, a new social media strategy, a new approach to how she markets her services. So it was a pleasure to work with her over the last few weeks. We came up with a new name for her company, a new tagline, key messages, a brand new social media strategy that she's rolling out now and will continue to roll out into the fall, and obviously grow the efforts as the restrictions ease off. But we wanted her to be in a position to take a brand new approach to travel, considering the global situation that we have right now. So we'll do this over the next few weeks, touch base with different clients that we've rebranded, relaunched, or develop corporate ID or brands for them from the beginning. I hope that it'll give you a bit of an insight to how we approach branding initiatives here at ALIF Partners, and hopefully give you some ideas for what you may in the future be able to do with your company, your goods and services, your initiatives, considering the unique circumstances that we're in and how we have to prepare to re-enter the marketplace and hopefully make an impact. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.
Hi, Zoe. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Najib?
Hey, surviving in the post-apocalyptic world that we live in, and just trying to get through it day by day. But at least the weather's nice now. It's really nice outside, so I can take my daughter out after you and I done. We'll go outside and walk around a little bit. How about you? How are the kids?
The kids are good. They're good. Just doing their online schooling. Hanging in there, getting the hang of it. But I think they kind of miss going to school, because I told them the other day that school is open on Monday, and they were so excited. They're like, we hope you're not playing with us. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm taking it a little bit too far. But
that's so mean. That's so mean.
I didn't think it was mean. I thought like they would be like, no, but okay. I kind of realized how important it is for them. I think they're bored at home. But we good.
My daughter's still young. She's only 2.5, so she's pretty good at independent play. But I know I've heard that from a lot of parents with older kids, like the novelty of being at home and online learning is wearing out, and they want to now be back with their friends and be back. I mean, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it makes them appreciate school a little bit more.
They were excited. The first week, they were super excited, like for homeschooling and all that. And then now it's just like, okay, what happened to the excitement? But anyways, kids, they want this and well.
Okay, so Zoe, I wanted to get together and talk. I want to just, because we've been working together on a new brand for your company, and I wanted to talk about the work we've done and where we're at now with it, and just, kind of have a touch base and have a little bit of a session together about, what's going to happen maybe after easing of the social isolation happens and we get back to work. What's the future for you and your company and what you're thinking? Now, you and I met through Franklin from Diversity Magazine, I think, and you came by my office, and then, we've been through Franklin and Diversity. We've been at many, many events together. Diversity Awards. Were you at the Afro Canadian Awards? You were there as well, right?
Yes. The ones at McEwen, yeah, I was.
Yeah. No, it wasn't McEwen.
It was McEwen? It was Norquest.
Norquest was the Diversity Awards, and then the Afro Canadian awards were at the Lions Seniors Center.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, I know. I remember you there. I really enjoyed that one. I did the panel on personal branding. Really
Yes.
enjoyed that one. It was a great. I mean, it's amazing the work that Diversity Magazine's doing and all the events and things that they have are really amazing. Yeah, I'm gonna
Absolutely.
pause just a sec. Okay. We had to stop for a commercial interruption from my daughter. So yeah, let's talk about that. So your company before, tell me a little bit about what you were doing and what kind of work you were doing and why you decided that you might need a rebrand.
Okay, so I started AB Safaris about 5 years ago. It stands for Authentic Backyard Safaris, not Alberta Safaris. Okay. Uh, Everybody, usually most people that I meet, they always say Alberta Safaris, and I'm like, okay, we'll just roll with it. So it kind of got to me. At some point, I was like, you know what, this doesn't even make sense. It only makes sense to me. So with AB Safaris, what we did was we were doing African safaris, providing travel, like group travel, like solo, any kind of travel to Africa. That was the main focus. And then I decided to change because I was just getting, frustrated about AB and always having to explain what it means. So I just decided like it's time for a rebrand, and then so we can expand to other continents instead of just focusing on Africa, which is still the main focus, but like the new brand, it's going to focus on all the other continents. Right. So what we did was we provided travel protection, like as in travel insurance. We provided destination information, like anything to do with like Africa, safety, immunizations, and all those, what people can see and what people can do when they get there.
Yeah, I mean, I learned so much going through the communication strategy process with you that we do at ALIF. I learned so much about the kind of travel that you do, and then so much about Africa itself that I didn't know. I mean, I haven't traveled much in Africa. It's one of the continents that's on my to-do list. I think that's on a lot of people's what do you call it, bucket list.
Yes.
It's definitely on mine in terms of doing safaris and Mount Kilimanjaro and things like that. Is there a certain country that you specialize in, or certain travel that you specialize in?
Oh my goodness, not just one country. I have quite a few countries, and right now we're expanding into Zambia, which is like fantastic. So I've been doing a bit more research about Zambia, and the information that I found is I'm just so blown away that Zambia is actually came a long way, So I specialize in Tanzania, Kenya, Zimbabwe, Botswana, South Africa, not so much, Rwanda, Uganda, Morocco, Egypt. So those were the countries that we went to when it was like still AB Safaris. So now we're expanding more into like Zambia, Malawi, Mozambique, I think Angola. We'll be looking into Ghana, Senegal, Togo, Benin. So pretty much like by the end of it all, we would have explored all 54 countries in Africa.
That's amazing. What's
Yeah.
the draw and what is the hesitations, Zoe, around Africa? Because I mean, yeah, I mean, I've done quite a bit of travel, and like I said, I haven't been to Africa yet. So what do you think that it is? I know this a lot of this surfaced when we were going through the communication strategy, when we were talking about potential barriers in travelers' minds in terms of going to Africa. What do you think some of the stigma is? What are some of the things that people may not know? I mean, obviously, everybody thinks about safaris when they go to Africa. They think about maybe Mount Kilimanjaro. What is it that people are missing? They're not understanding about the realities of traveling in such a vast continent with 54 countries.
Mostly it's safety. Safety is always like the number one issue. And people not knowing exactly what happens in Africa and what is in Africa and what they can do in Africa. So most people have this whole, like, how on not social media, on media, like as in TV, they always show Africa as like these poor countries, hungry children. Like, they don't really show the most important parts of Africa. They just show you the little part that is just like you know, and then they just paint the whole picture as like Africa is poor, Africa there's this, like it's dirty, and it's not safe. I mean, every country is not safe, like, you know what I mean? And every country has poor people, every country has homeless people, but you'll not see anything about that on media. But when it comes to Africa, the number one issue that comes with Africa is hunger, is poverty, is this and that. But when I started this business, my whole idea was to change people's perspectives and show them the real Africa, the real authentic Africa. Like when you think about Africa in a positive way, you think about animals, you think about the infrastructure, you think about Mount Kilimanjaro, like you said, like there's gorillas in Uganda, there's the Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe. So there's so much that Africa is not shown on media besides the bad part. So those are some of the barriers that make people a little bit skeptical of going to Africa, because they are not aware of the other part of Africa, the other good parts. Like, you know, sometimes I have clients that go to Africa and they come back, they are like amazed. They're like, I didn't know Africa was that beautiful, right? So different countries they offer something different. Not all countries are the same. They all offer something different. So if you wanted an adventure, you could get an adventure in Zimbabwe and you will not get the same adventure in Uganda, because they offer two totally different things. Like,
You're absolutely right. You know, I think that people forget that, you know, the countries in Africa are just as unique and individual as, you know, any other as countries in Europe that people might be more familiar with.
yeah.
Hold on one second.
Okay.
So, you know, that's a unique experience. I've never had to stop a meeting to change a poopy diaper before. So, you know, this working from home stuff is opening up all kinds of new.
That's where the fun is. That's where the fun is. You will remember this. You will remember this. I'm telling you. You will
So let's see. We've had two interruptions so far. So let's see how many we get through doing this. Okay, so where were we? We were talking about Africa and the fact that, you know, every country is not the same, and there's so many unique experiences, and that travelers should think about Africa being as diverse and unique as they think about Europe, maybe, right?
Oh yeah, Africa has so much more to offer, like unique experiences. Like you'll never find those types of experiences anywhere else besides Africa. Like, you know, there's just so much to see. The diversity, the different national parks, they are just amazing. Each national park offers something completely different. That's why I always say there's no two safaris that are the same. You can go on the same safari twice. You will come out with a different experience.
So when we were putting together the communication strategy for you, I mean, the place that clients always struggle is when we talk about identifying target audiences for your business or your services. And, you know, so we narrowed down a few different groups that you thought would be potential travelers that might want to go to Africa, and some of your other packages as well, which we should talk about. You know, we talked about the adventurer, we talked about the sun chaser, you know, the sun chaser being just, you know, the individual or family that just wants to relax and be on the beach and take in the sun and don't want to have an adventure. And then obviously the more adventurous tourist that actually wants to get out and maybe do the safaris or hikes or climbs, and etc. And then what about families? You know, what do you have to offer families?
There's a lot. Like Africa promotes a lot of family safaris, like a lot, because the reason why they provide family safaris is because it's an experience you can give your children that can never be taken away from them. Children will not remember how much money you gave them. They will not remember how much toys you gave them, but they'll remember the experiences that you gave them. So family safaris are so important, especially like right now. I think during this time, this whole COVID is going to teach a lot of people how important family is. You learn to appreciate each other, you learn to forgive each other. So Africa, like most countries in Africa, they focus on family safaris because they have this, they have so many conservation places where they like keep, they teach a lot about animals. They don't keep the animals in like caged and stuff like that. You go out in the wild to see them, but they have these children clubs that you go and learn about elephants. You go learn about lions. You learn about the life. There is like all the animal lives. So it's something that all generations tend to enjoy. Even the adults, they kind of start to enjoy the children's clubs. That's what I've found during like my from my clients. Like I had 4 generations actually travel to Zimbabwe. They stayed at African bush camps, and the information that they learned, the older parents, the older ones enjoyed it more than the children. So definitely right there, there's like a need of family travel so you can all learn together and create those memories together. So family safari is like the #1 leading event right now, where like you just learn to appreciate and you learn together.
Yeah, and I know we're doing that push right now on social media for you with the new brand, and we're talking about, now is the time to stay home and stay safe, but Africa is waiting, and the families of African animals are also waiting as well.
They're waiting.
Sorry?
Yeah, they're waiting. They're waiting.
Yeah.
They're like lonely right now because no one is coming, right? So everybody's staying safe, but the animals are like, come on, where are humans? They're not here.
So there's a lot, I think, for people to look forward to once the worst of this is passed and it's safe to travel again. Tell me about the adventure of travel. To me, like Africa would seem to be like such a hot destination for an adventure traveler, a person who's wanting to do things off the beaten path, not do the touristy stuff, and try to get to more of the untouched and outback sort of areas in Africa.
So the weather, every destination has a low season and a high season, a shoulder season and a secret season. Those are the seasons in Africa. So as hot as it is, it depends. If you like the hotness, you can definitely go whenever, but there's also precautions that come along with that. There's so much. You have to have a lot of sunscreen. You have to have a lot of like shade, like hats, caps and stuff like that. Or you can go and the thing is, secrecy. Okay, maybe let me explain the weathers a little bit, then you can understand. Secret season is when it's raining during like around November, December, January. It's raining. You won't see a lot of animals because everybody's running away from rain. It's like green, it's lush green. So really, and that's the cheapest season, right? And then the shoulder season is the best, the one that's coming out of secret into high season. High season is the dry season. Sometimes it's not as hot, depending on each country. Each country is like different when it comes to weather. But dry season is not too hot because it's not green. It's just like maybe like fall here. I'd compare it to fall here, right? So it's not hot, it's not cold, but it's just like in the middle. That's where all the animals are out. They're out in search of food, they're out in search of water and stuff like that because it's dry season. That's usually the high season. That's the most expensive season because that's where all the animals are out looking for food. And shoulder season is a little bit cheaper because secret season is the cheapest by far. So if you are wanting to see the baby being born, the baby calves, you go at secret season. That's where we usually recommend, like where the kids can go. But also it's dangerous because every animal mother is protecting their calves. So you don't want to be around that area. But it's also fascinating, right? So with the four seasons, you can definitely choose which weather you want, and it depends on the pocket at the same time, right? So I mean, there's precautions all around. Like in secret season, there's a lot of mosquitoes. So you have to have your immunizations and stuff like that against like malaria, dengue fever, all those things. You have to have malaria pills and stuff like that. So it just depends. Whatever adventure you want, you have to pay attention. That's where us as travel agents will come in. I'll tell you that, okay, if you want to do a kind of adventure, it's not going to work in secret season because lots of adventures are closed because it's too wet on the ground. So that's where we come in handy. I come in, I tell you, say, okay, no, this adventure you want to do right here is not going to work this season. So I would suggest a different season. And then obviously like the precautions and everything else that comes with.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of people don't think about that, because there's such a variety of countries to go to and variety of climates that they can, pick the season that they want to go into, and then also look at affordability and not necessarily have to travel during high season. Okay, so then we went through the brand planning process with you, and we came up with the new name, pa-da-pum, pa-da-pum, pa-pum, and the new name is
Hidden Continents.
Hidden Continent Travel. Which it took us a while to get there. We went through the naming process with you.
That was fun.
But then it was fun, and it always is fun. I always enjoyed doing the brand planning process with clients because we learn so much about different businesses and different clients, and then I think the clients also learn a lot about their own businesses. No matter how long they've been in business, it never fails to amaze me how much we learn with the clients the things that hadn't been considered before and new ways of looking at their businesses. But Hidden Continent Travel is the new name and the new brand. There's one very special personal element in the brand that we put in. Do you want to tell us about that?
The Cape Buffalo that you always tell me I have a big head like a Cape Buffalo, which no. But anyway, the Cape Buffalo is like my last name. My last name is Nare, so my last name in English means buffalo. So that's why we came up with the buffalo silhouette thingy, because I think the other thing is the elephant has been overused, the lion is being overused. So I was like, it just resonated with me to use the buffalo as my last name, so it was just perfect.
Yeah, and I loved when we came to that realization because, we did look at giraffes and lions and
everything.
And everything else, right? And then when you told me about your last name, meaning Cape Buffalo, we are always about when we do branding to making sure that the brand is ownable. Like what I always say to clients is that what you want is that you don't want to create a brand where anybody could put their name in it and they could own it and it could be their brand as well. Now, they could, come in and change Hidden Continent Travel to Africa Bound Travel or whatever they want to do. But the name and the meaning behind the Cape Buffalo wouldn't be the same for them as it is for you. So I think that personal link, that personal brand touch is so important.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Interruption number 3 for my daughter clarifying to me that I'm behind schedule on feeding time. So I need to get on that.
She's doing good. She's not doing bad.
She is doing really good. She's really good. Okay, so yeah, so I love the idea of incorporating the Cape Buffalo for you and the meaning and the tie and the brand link that you have. There's a strong brand link. And then we went through the brand pyramid process to try to get the essence of the brand and also to see if we could come up with a tagline Sorry?
Why you forgot? Did you remember why we went with Hidden Continent?
Why don't you tell us? Go ahead.
Because I think most people that I meet, they always think Africa is a country. It's like 54 countries in one continent. So I was like, okay, is it like a hidden continent? Like, is it, do they not know that Africa is a continent on its own, or what are we missing? So yeah, it was just because most people think that Africa is a country. It's actually a continent with 54 countries in it. That's how.
Yeah, and that's, I like that part of the content. The hidden actually meant for me more about like that it was a hidden secret. You know what I mean? Like people refer to Africa as the dark continent, and there's all kinds of nicknames for Africa. But the hidden to me, like I thought really would resonate, especially with that adventure traveler about you don't know about everything that you need to know about this place. Don't just go by on what you hear about and see about in media and
Yeah.
safari films and things. Like this is
Yeah.
a hidden secret that you have to discover yourself.
And you can discover it 54 ways,
Exactly.
you
So
know?
yeah, then we went.
Yeah.
Then we went to work on trying to find a brand essence, as we call it, like something that's integral to the brand. And sometimes that brand essence becomes a tagline, it becomes key messages. We came up with a bunch of key messages for you to use in social media and in your marketing and promotions. But the thing that really stood out for us was the thing that ended up being your tagline, um, feast your eyes and soul, right? Um, Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm saying it with you. Feast your eyes and soul.
Yeah, and I think that I really that really resonated for us as well. I think because really, discovering a place like Africa and all the different countries is really a feast for your eyes.
Oh
And
yeah.
then travel. I think we all um, not all of us recognize the value of travel for healing and for rest and for restoration.
Yeah.
And I think that part, the soul part, was important too, and not our souls as travelers, but also the souls of the people that we're going to interact with and the animals that we're going to see, and
Yeah.
how we affect each other when we do go on travel to places like
Mhm.
Africa.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's true because most people they just travel because their friends said, "Oh yeah, I went to Mexico." And the next person is like, "Oh, I want to go too." But really, what is the reason you're going to Mexico? Because you were told to go to Mexico? Because your friend went to Mexico. Now you feel like you have to go. But other than that, like, feasting your eyes and your soul. When you travel, you have to travel with a purpose. Don't just travel because somebody else said, I was in this place. So now everybody goes. I find it's quite common. It's like a bit uniform, because most people that I meet, when I speak about Africa, they're like, "Oh no, I've traveled a little bit," and I'm like, "Where have you been?" And they'll tell you, "Oh, I've been to the Caribbean like 20 times," and you're like, "Do you know there's another world out there besides the Caribbean? Like you can go somewhere else." And people they don't think about that. They don't pay attention to that. "Oh, I've been to one destination, why not explore the rest of the world?"
No,
So
and I
yeah.
think you hit it right on the head at the beginning, Zoe, is just that we tend to gravitate to places that we feel safe, and we tend to go and return to those places. If we had a good experience,
Yeah.
and we felt safe and we felt taken care of, then we want to return to those places because, I mean, let's face it, it is expensive to travel. And we don't a lot of us don't want to risk a new experience and that expense. And also, we have limited time, vacation time sometimes to coordinate these events, right? So I think that's why it's so important for someone like you, and why I want to have this conversation with you, is to be able to express and get people past that, out of their comfort zone, and to
Yeah.
want to go on to new adventures and new expeditions.
And
Um, so
the good thing about this is you can plan your travel 2 years ahead, right? And then you can take all the time the time off that you need. So it's all about planning. It's not really about like I can do this, I cannot do this. It's all about planning, and that's why I'm here to help somebody plan their trip, because a bucket list travel is definitely it's huge, right? It needs extensive planning, very careful attention to detail, and because it costs a lot of money, that's why it's called a bucket list. It's not just like the same as going to Mexico because it's just all inclusive. Yeah, okay, a couple of thousands, that's fine. But going to a bucket list travel is something you need to plan for, right?
so speaking of planning, so yeah, right now, people can start planning their fall and their winter vacations with you, and you're on Instagram and you're on Facebook with Hidden Continent Travel. I know that you've already put together some packages, and there's some opportunities to get into groups and do some
Yeah.
group travel and some expeditions and things like that. But tell me, the biggest question I think that everybody has
Hmm.
these days, Zoe, is, why do I need a travel agent? Why can't I just book my travel myself online through all the various websites and platforms that are available, all integrated platforms that are available for me to book my hotels and my trip and my activities. Why do I still need a travel agent?
So let's take, for example, right now, COVID-19. Let's not even go any further. So when COVID hit, if you bought your travel through Expedia and you were at destination, who do you call? Now everybody that works at Expedia or wherever, like the online travel, there's no one because everybody's under quarantine. No one is like there to pick up your phone. No one is there to do anything for you. So you're pretty much stranded, right? You're stuck wherever you are. Whereas if you have a travel agent, I'm here, you are, let's say you're all the way in South Africa and you need to come home. While you are there, I get to do all the work for you. I get to call the airline. I get to reschedule your flight. Without you not having to pay anything because I did your travel. So I'm the one responsible for making any changes. Like I'm responsible for making sure that you come home. Whereas like if you do your online travel, you're just dealing with the computer. So how is a computer going to help you when you're stuck? So a travel agent is your advocate. A travel agent is your person, is your lifeline. Is the person that does everything to make sure you come home, and without having you spending extra money. Because we know the language, we speak to the airlines. If you book your flight with me and something goes wrong, you don't have to call the airline and interrupt your vacation. I do that for you while you're still enjoying your vacation, right? And so we have inside knowledge. We can suggest destinations. Like, for example, right now, I'm creating the awareness of that you can travel to Africa, whereas some people, Africa doesn't even come to their mind. So we have the best suppliers that we partner up with. So when you say you want a hotel here and there, I get the best rate for you, right? Unlike when you go online, you get like the cheapest rate, which at the end of the day, that cheapest rate, it gets you a crappy room sometimes. We've seen like so many like complaints on like online and stuff like that. But when you book with a travel agent, I know exactly the type of room that you are going to get. I know exactly what your budget can get you. So it's just things like that where I know what I'm giving you instead of you just dealing with like online and a computer. You don't know what you're getting. You get there, they'll tell you, oh, the hotel is full. Who are you going to talk to? No one. And then now you are interrupting your vacation and not doing anything. So that's a little bit tricky. So I always tell people, and it gives you peace of mind as well. A travel agent gives you peace of mind. You don't have to worry about anything.
You're absolutely
So
right. And I went through that myself, when COVID-19 hit and I had to cancel and reschedule a flight that I had planned to the US. And the hours that I spent on the phone, like just figuring out the flight portion. And I also, I think that because you and I were working together at the time, it reminded me, the convenience of having a travel agent and just, the travel agent being able to handle all of those particulars when changes have to be made, or just having that comfort of knowing that there is somebody that you can call and deal with, and not multiple people that you have to call and deal with. So I definitely agree with you there.
yeah, and I know that most people think travel agents, we have like these ridiculous fees of like helping you. We really don't. Most travel agents, they don't have fees. Only on particular packages, like things like groups, because groups take a lot of time. So we definitely have to charge a service fee for that, because we work on commission. We don't get paid by anybody, especially if you're working for yourself. So we get paid on commission. So when I tell somebody, say, okay, I'm gonna have to charge you a fee, for me, it's telling you that you have to respect my time, because half the time, sometimes you get a group that will say, oh, we need a package. And then you sit for hours or days looking for that. And then they just come and say, oh, you know what, we've decided to go to do something else. Think about the times that I've sat down and did all the work for you and not get paid. So some of the travel we don't charge, but some we do charge, especially if we know that there's another option out there. So we do charge just for our time. But really, travel agents don't cost a lot. They don't cost
Yeah,
a
no,
lot,
and
like
I think
especially
it's
these agents.
I think it's important for people to realize that, most of the time the travel agent's making their fee from the vendor, from the airline or the hotel, etc. And it's not costing you as a traveler anything. And then absolutely, other than, if you're booking group travel with a large group, which I mean, to me, then it's totally worth it as well to pay a fee to a travel agent. Because if anybody has tried to book groups of travel, they know how much work and coordination that
Oh
takes.
yeah, oh yeah. And the changes sometimes dealing with the group, the whole reason why we charge a service fee upfront is because when you're dealing with 20 people, 5 people are prone to change. At some point, they will say, you know what, I don't want this room. I want this one. I want that one. Like there's so many changes that you make. By the time a group travels, you are mentally exhausted just from the changes from here and there, just to make everything align, everything smooth. So it's by the end, sometimes we need to see a therapist. Sometimes. No.
Well, you know what? I've had a great time working on your brand with you, and I really love it. And I think it's perfect for you and your business. And I'm looking forward to continue working now that as we roll it out in social media and, and as the season picks up, hopefully once everything is safe again, to working with you to building that brand. I mean, we also talked about, you should look at business travelers as well. So I think that there might be more demand now for travelers going to Africa to look for suppliers as well. I think that's a huge opportunity for you as well. But also, too, I mean, you don't just do Africa, so we should be clear on that too. What other regions do you specialize in, or is it pretty much anything, Zoe?
It's pretty much not just anything. If I do anything, then I wouldn't be unique. I wouldn't be different from everybody
Mm-hmm.
else. So really, I do other, but what I am focusing mostly on is wellness travel. So Bali is another destination that we are doing. We do Seychelles off the coast of Africa. We do what's the other one? I mean, we still do the Caribbean because people request that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we do local travel here as well in Canada. So yeah, that's so far that's what, but mostly our biggest after Africa is wellness travel. So Bali being like the number one destination, like where people want to go, right? And just right now we are exploring even Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, they have the sirloin teas, they have like yoga, they have different things as well. So we're looking into that as well. So, and then we'll
Awesome.
roll
I
out
love
other
that.
things soon as we are ready. But Bali, wellness travel, because a lot of people, they work really, really hard, and a lot of divorces, a lot of separations, a lot of just so many issues, right? So wellness, people need to take a break and just go um, take care of their mental health. So because mental health is really, really important. So that's something that we've been focusing on, wellness travel.
No, they say that, that's going to be, when all the restrictions start to lift, that is going to be one of the biggest concerns that people are going to have, is taking care of their mental health and rest and restoration. Because a lot of us, it hasn't been rest. Just because you're at home doesn't mean you're resting.
Yeah.
Plus the additional stresses of economics and work related and family related stresses. So I love that idea of wellness travel, of rest and restoration.
Yes, restoration, rejuvenation, and all that. And some parts in Kenya, we do have like an itinerary that has like that yoga, like the early morning yoga, and yeah. So far, even some of the African suppliers, they are focusing mostly into that, the energy healing, like the yoga, anything to do with wellness. And also we do food and wine travel, because I know people love to eat. I'm one of those people. I'm a foodie. Food and wine travel, we are focusing on that as well. So with that one, we have packages to, I think, 3 countries right now that we're doing the food and wine. South Africa being like the number one destination. And we're not going to touch Europe for now because, but later on, maybe 2021 or 2022, we'll do that like where we do like Italy food and other parts of Europe, because like, you know, the whole COVID right now, it's a little bit still crazy. So we'll leave Europe for now, and then we'll look into it in 2022.
Okay, well, you know, I think my boss is telling me that I'm running out of time now, and uh, but I love talking to you, Zoe, and thank you for sharing all of that with me. And I think that I'm really looking forward to working with you. And like I said, I would definitely want to go with my family on one of the trips to Africa as well. And looking forward to it, and looking forward to keep working together and rolling out the hidden content brand. And like you said, yeah, food's a big part of it. So maybe we should add that on the end: feast your eyes, soul, and don't forget your stomach.
Don't forget your stomach.
Thanks so much, Zoe.
No, your soul is your stomach. Thank you so much, Najib, for having me. We'll talk soon.
Okay, we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.